Greetings, Arrows. Welcome to Dr. D's Pizza Party, a monthly or more than monthly video series where I interview different staff members from the Watertown School District so you can get to know them just a little bit better. Each month we'll also be featuring a different pizza place from Watertown. This month's pizza is from Pizza Hut. Today's guest is Erin McBurney, social studies teacher at Watertown Middle School and our reigning certified staff member of the year. Welcome, Mrs. McBurney. Why don't we start by having you introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about you?
Sounds good. I'm Erin McBurney. I am born and raised in Watertown, South Dakota. We always tend to say that we bleed purple in my family. I'm the youngest of 3 daughters, and I have 2 little daughters of my own, a 1st grader and a 2-year-old.
All right. So what brought you back to the Watertown School District?
Really, truly, it's been nice to be around my family. I graduated from Watertown in 2005, and I got my undergrad degree from Black Hill State in Spearfish with a double major in middle school and history education with specialization in social studies and language arts. And then my first teaching job was in Sioux Falls, and from there I was in Minneapolis for 3 years, and then just came home to be with our family. So this is my 10th year back in Watertown.
All right. You know, you are the certified staff member of the year. So why don't you tell our audience just a little bit, what is your favorite part about teaching?
I really love being able to connect the content with students and what is going on in their lives. And I specifically really love middle school kids. And so the opportunity to take historical events, relate it to their lives. For example, we're right in the middle of the American Revolution right now. And so we're watching, studying the failure of George Washington at Long Island and really getting to make those big connections with kids that, yes, certainly the battle's important and the significance of it, but to really look at the humanness of George Washington and looking at the failure that he had and how he learned the most about the strategy that he needed for the war based on this failure. And so to put it in perspective with kids, to learn the most from your failures than you do from your successes is just a really cool opportunity to have with them. And then we studied the Battle of Trenton, his turnaround, 6 months later in 1776, and to use guerrilla warfare tactics and surprise the British, to really see, look what happens when you lean in to try something new, learn from the failures. So I love to bring historical context and connect it to kids' everyday lives to help them certainly pick a career path, but just to be good human beings and learn some history and become a better reader and writer along the way.
Yeah, I mean, to be able to study history, that is, something that we hope that we can all learn from.
Yes.
What's the adage?
Right.
To
we
failure.
must remember our history or we'll be doomed to repeat it.
Doomed to repeat it, yes. So where did this love of history come from?
I have to call out Dave Ingalls again. Poor Dave, he's probably getting tired of me saying that. I was a student in Dave's 8th grade American history class, 5th period, in the year 2000, and he taught exactly what I get to teach now, early American history, and I just remember being enthralled with the story. He just told the story. He taught the class of just the next piece of the puzzle, the next piece of the story. I just couldn't wait to get back to 5th period and learn what happened next to George Washington. Those big key players. Dave just really had. He just has the gift of teaching, the craft of teaching. And so to be able to watch him, I knew when I was 14 years old, this is what I wanted to do.
Well, that's pretty cool. And to be able to teach beside him now in the history department at the middle school has got to be
co-workers, and get used to calling him Dave instead of Mr. Ingalls, all these years later. So that's very cool.
Yeah. Well, one of the requests we make of our staff member of the year is they get to address the staff at our before school in-service. You gave an excellent speech to our staff this year. Maybe share a few of those highlights or things that were meaningful in that speech to you and just share them with the rest of us.
Oh, sure. I really wanted to treat this speech as a tribute to the people that have come before me, the people that taught me, because I was given the privilege of being educated by the greats like Dave Ingalls and Denise Hoff and Chris O'Brien, and to learn the craft of teaching. And so I've always been really grateful to them. And so I tried to use some historical quotes, and my favorite one by Abraham Lincoln is, "Whatever you are, be a good one. And so to learn from those greats, and then again to get to be colleagues with them and incorporate a little bit of history. Of course, I wouldn't be myself if I didn't do that into the speech. So I really tried to treat the speech as a way to honor those great teachers.
Yeah, that was great, and it fit like what part of what I got to share after that. What I appreciated is, without knowing it, we got to talk about, I called it my Hall of Fame, and talk about all those people that made a difference in us and kind of shaped us to where we are today. So I just appreciated that a lot.
Yeah, I think it's just a game changer to be able to acknowledge, because it can get mundane. You do the day-to-day activities, but you just never know the impact that you're having on a kid, that you might be in their Hall of Fame and it's just a Tuesday morning first period. You don't always know the impact that you have. So it's cool to take a step back and acknowledge that.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of the nourishment of teachers in a way, is that those stories that our students share with us when they come back.
Yes. Yep.
All right, now I'm going to ask you a couple questions about yourself.
Okay.
So what hobbies do you have, or what kinds of things do you like to do outside of work? We know you're not always just sitting in your classroom learning history. So what do you like to do outside of school?
I do feel like my job is a big piece of my life, because I do really love it. I think it's really who I am to teach. So I certainly spend a fair amount of time working. But my little girls, my 6-year-old, my 2-year-old, they keep me very busy. So running around to a lot of activities with them in the community, and certainly, trash TV in the evenings. And I really enjoy walking. It's been such a nice fall, so getting out on the bike trail and walking for sure.
Yeah, I think trash TV and walking go hand in hand.
Right.
You gotta
Gotta
wind
balance.
down. You gotta wind down.
Balance.
Then tell us one thing that the average staff member you work with, or maybe the students, wouldn't know about Mrs. McBurney.
Something I do tend to tell my students this over the course of the school year, but I was a kid that school was really, really hard for me going through. And I think sometimes it's easy to think, well, they're teachers, they must love school. And it's not that I ever really hated school. I knew that I had to work harder than the kid next to me. It was just the way that it is. And so I do think my work ethic really comes through. Probably other people would maybe notice that, but I don't know if necessarily people would know where it comes from. School was really hard. I probably started studying probably around 6th grade, 7th grade, and just continued all the way through. So I like to connect that with kids, to let them know that it's not about just doing everything perfectly. We want to learn how to learn. That's the whole point, I feel like, of a K-12 education. You want to learn how to learn. You want to learn how to do math, reading and writing, pick a career path, something that's interesting to you. But it doesn't mean that it's going to come easy all the time. It's part of the process of learning. So for me, I was a kid that had to learn the process of learning. And so I'm hopeful that helps me, connect with kids a little bit easier sometimes in that way, if school is not really easy for all kids. And so I think it can be an easy stereotype that school was easy for teachers because we're teachers and we, are always at school now. But yeah, school was hard for me going through.
That is an interesting nugget that, I'm sure there are many students who can relate to that.
Yeah, just life.
Is there anything else you'd like to tell us about yourself, or the job, or the honor?
It is a really big honor to be Staff Member of the Year, I think, because it is peer elected. My own staff members nominated me and voted for me, and then the community members to choose me. And so it's really, it really does feel like a big honor. I love the Arrows. I love Watertown with all my heart. I'll be here till I retire, and I'm grateful. I'm grateful to work for the school district that encouraged me to go into education and to just be a part of our community. Well, thank you once again for joining us and appearing on Dr. D's Pizza Party, a new concept this year. So you took a chance on me. I appreciate it. So I think as we kind of do our sign off here, we'll see the audience again next month, but let's kind of sign off with, let's try a piece of this Pizza Hut pizza. Cheers.